Welcome to Worklifecyber. Today, I wanted to stop by and talk to you guys a little bit about some of the areas worth exploring if you are now trying to get into tech. Now, sometimes when you say getting into tech, people assume getting into cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is not the only area in tech, and not every tech area is cybersecurity. Yeah, but we tend to say cybersecurity every time, sometimes when we want to say getting into tech. But anyway, we are going to talk about some of the areas worth exploring if you don't already know where you want to be in tech. And if you know where you want to be in tech, it's still great to listen. Maybe you want to switch. Maybe you see something in your company that you want to look into and possibly learn more about it. Maybe you're trying to explore other areas. You don't really like where you are or what you chose in your initial choice in cybersecurity, in tech, and you want to switch. Whatever the case is, if you want to know some of the areas worth exploring in tech, well, then stay tuned. Or keep listening. All right, so the first one that I want to talk about is, and it's in no particular order, neither is it in how much you're going to be paid. I didn't want to go that route because there is a lot of misinformation about how much you ought to be paid when you join these things. Like if you're going to do a cybersecurity, one company is going to maybe start you with $10, another company is going to start you with $100. But when you go to Indeed, Glassdoor, all these job boards, they will give you an average. Always go with the average, okay? And maybe around the average. Yeah, you may not even get the average. You may get something a little lower than the average, but at least it will give you an idea of how much you're supposed to earn. Do not go and be fooled by everyone saying six figures, six figures, six figures. I mean, if you're only driven by six figures, you may not do well in this field. I promise you on that. But eventually, you may make the money, when you put in the work. Anyway, so the first one that I am going to talk about is AI computing. Yes. Now it's part of us. I mean, some companies are actually having a whole session in their risk assessment that says AI computing, where they have a whole bunch of controls that they are testing. So it's gradually becoming part of us. A few weeks ago, maybe, our last major teams meeting, department meeting, we just talked about how it's okay to use AI in the company, but now we have guidelines. We just added it into our standards, our AUPs, some word in verbiage about AI. So AI is becoming part of us. So if you want to get into tech and you're into using historic data and coding, because it's heavy on coding, AI computing is heavy on coding. So if you're up for learning new programming languages, you cannot just stick with Python. And with AI computing, you would have to know machine learning, you would have to know Python, Java, everything. Because if you know, the most common recently popular one is OpenAI ChatGPT. So if you've used it anyhow or in any form, you know that it knows not just Python, it knows Java, it knows C, it knows Python, all these programming languages. So to be in this field, you must be prepared to learn multiple programming languages. And for what I have known or heard or researched, when you know one programming language, learning another one it's not easy, but it's easier when you already know a programming language, okay? Whether you're learning R, whether you're learning Java. And I have heard that if you start with Python, you kind of know the basic. So anyway, whatever the case, if you want to get into AI computing, you would have to know programming. You would have to be good at programming. It's not those kind of areas where you're like, oh, the basic programming is okay. I don't think so. For all the researches I've done, you are going to, and you have to even know SQL because you're using historic data. You're gathering a lot of data, bringing them together to make a decision for today. So again, I'm going to use ChatGPT. It has used historic data up to 2021. Yes, it's only up to 2021. So if you're asking ChatGPT how to perform risk assessment, it will not tell you anything about next 853 R5 because 2021 it was only probably 3 or 4. I'm not sure when R4 853 R4 revision 4 was released, but whatever it's going to tell you will be before up to 2021, so it won't be current. So that's why when people say ChatGPT or AI is taking over our jobs, no, it cannot take over our jobs. It uses historic data to give you all the responses that it is given. But if you really want to keep up to date, you better be on your toes and do your own research. And no, even for coding, if you type in for it to write a code for you, you have to know how to code to be able to see what bugs are in, whether it's correct, whether the response is okay. So no, AI is not going to take over our lives, but it's going to make our jobs very easy. So I guess that translates to efficiency, translates to less workforce. So you can say something like that. But the way to get ahead of it is knowing AI, a little bit how to use AI. But that's not what this is about. This is about those who want to actually be the ones in the back end programming and doing all these back end computing. So if you want to get into AI, I highly recommend it. But I want you to know that it's not going to be a walk on the park. So be ready and be driven. And I think the reward is going to be very high. You're going to have your hands full, and it's not going to be a dull moment in your career. It's only going to grow, in my opinion. I think it's something new and it's here to stay. It's not new, but its popularity. Yeah, it just got popular, but it's always been there, but it's now everywhere. I just told you, my work, you can use AI. Just don't put in any personal information. Don't put in any. Yes, it's still not tested. And hackers said, look here, I'll go into another. This is a video for another day. But now you cannot use simple things as grammatical error to determine if an email is phishing email, because they're using AI to generate these wonderful emails. But topic for another day. And if you've been with me all 12 seconds, I've been on YouTube, I've had a video or somewhere where I'm saying, anyway, I digress. So that's AI computing. Look into it if you're interested in heavy data analytics and heavy programming. You'll do great in this. So one area you can look into. The next one I'm going to talk about, which is probably all of our favorites, is cybersecurity. Yay! And cybersecurity, which is what I am in as a tech personnel, is trying to protect or secure its system or information. Yeah, cybersecurity has I want to say two branches. So there's information security and then there's system security. And nope, they are not the same. System security, you're going to know just a little bit of scripting, because if there's a malware that you need to stop, sometimes you have to put in a code. So I am not in the system security, but I want to get into it because it seems so much fun. And then there's information security, which is compliance analyst, cybersecurity analyst. Actually, cybersecurity analyst can be both ways, either systems security or information security. But so it's compliance, where you're dealing with policies, standards, AUPs, and all these documentation, HIPAA, NICS CSF, NICS 853. Right now we are on R5, and keeping up with the versions. ISO, if you're in the financial sector, ISO, all these documentation, SOC reporting, This is the information security side, system engineering side. You still have to know these things, because if I come to a system engineer to ask them, hey, can you fill out these questionnaire for me? They should be able to fill out all the questionnaire, right? So when we come to the actual system security, cyber security, that's when we're talking about network security, where you have to know. And I want to learn that. I've started learning that, the network, and even if you're in the information security side, you still should know networking, right? Because I say it all the time here. My boss is really smart, and I feel like it's because he knows networking. And as I started learning networking, it makes a lot of things seem so much easier, and I say I'm learning it just from what he says in our conversations. But yes, so on the cybersecurity, I digress. On the cybersecurity side, you can be system engineer, network engineer, cybersecurity engineer. All of these are jobs in itself. So that's why people say that cybersecurity is so broad, that if you really want to be in cybersecurity, you have to take your time and know what you want to be before starting your studying and research. Otherwise, you would just study everything and not know anything. So, and if you want to be in the systems engineering, system security side, you have to know a little bit, just the basic programming. And I see a lot of places where they say you don't need to know scripting, which is fine, because it's like the same scripts that you're probably going to use for a while. But I still feel like you need a little bit of scripting, right? So it's just my opinion. Sometimes we've called people and they're like, oh, sure, use this command to do this. And, it's good to know. Command means they're giving you a script to put it in. I don't know if that's what people don't know. So that means you're not learning a little bit of scripting, a little bit of programming language, just the basics, they say. And another reason why I feel like they say you don't need scripting is that someone can just tell you this and then you save it for yourself. And with ChatGPT now at our fingertips, you can probably run some of these through it. But again, you should know what you're doing to ask ChatGPT to give you a script to maybe take away malware or stop a system or segment a system or something, right? So anyway, so networking, system engineering, and all these things will be on the on the systems engineering side. So if you want to be in cybersecurity, determine whether you want to be in the systems where you're actually checking the computers, monitoring the computers, doing this and that with the computers. You have to know your routers, you have to know your switches, you have to know all of these wires that go here, go there. If something is twitching, if something is glitching, you should be able to say, okay, show me the back of the switch. What colors do you see? Is there a red or a yellow? Where do the red one go? Show me a video. And these people are so smart. We are all smart. These people are really smart. And then they can show you these things. And I feel like it's intriguing. So I'm looking into it. I may not switch, but I still want to know because it's interesting information. So you do that part. You need to know computers to be on the systems engineering side of cybersecurity. If you want to be on the information security side, which is still very intriguing, it's also very interesting. That's when you have to know your HIPAA. You don't have to know it by heart, obviously. You just have to know how to use HIPAA rules, how to use NIST controls, how to select controls, how to do risk assessment, how to do vulnerability management. Well, vulnerability management for the compliance side or the information security side is you doing the paperwork, making sure that there is vulnerability situations, or making sure that there is a process for managing vulnerability. So you will be connecting with the systems engineer person, whoever the cybersecurity person is in the engineering side, to say, hey, do we patch every quarter, or do we patch every month, depending on the company's standard, right? What control does the company have? If the company says patching should be done every month, you, the information security analyst, is making sure that the systems security analyst has a way to patch, right? And I think that's when coding and programming and scripting is also part of their patching. They put some stuff in and patch the system, right? You can correct me in the comment section if I am wrong about the patching. It's some script they put in to make sure that everything is automated and then it's patching every month or every quarter or whatever the company's control is, correct? So that's what you're doing. The information security side of cybersecurity is kind of making sure that the system security part of cybersecurity is doing what they need to do according to standards and regulations and all these, the HIPAA, all these controls that we follow, the company follow. So that checking on firewalls, making sure firewall rules are in place, making sure there is no glitch in the firewalls, making sure that the firewalls are following rules, are following company policy. All these things are the systems in this. So take it this way. Systems mean hands-on system. You're dealing with everything computers. It can be physical computers. It can be going into the system and making sure, and this is all part of all computing in cybersecurity, right? And the information part, you're usually dealing with documentation, a lot of documentation, and you learn a lot from doing this. Documentation, following up, making sure we're doing what we are supposed to do, correct? Running risk assessment, running vulnerability management. Yes. So you are running, making sure that after the vulnerabilities scanner scans all these criticals and highs from the engineers, you, the information engineer, security engineer, you will go in and say, okay, we have 6 criticals. What are you going to do about it? You don't have to know what they are going to do about it. You just have to continue checking to make sure they are doing something about it. If it was 5 criticals, you're going to ensure that when we run it again, it's not 20 criticals. That is, okay, it's reducing. So we know we're doing something, right? Yeah. All right. So I hope that makes sense. You can be in cybersecurity by either deciding to be in the system side or the information side. To be in the system side, you have to know basic scripting, programming, any basic programming language. You have to know networking, you have to know cloud computing, and you have to know, and by networking, you have to know your switches, you have to know your routers, you have to know where every computer is. You are going to be logging in and doing virtual assistants and all these wonderful, wonderful things. I really think the systems cybersecurity side is pretty cool. So if you're into that, or you can be the information security side where you are dealing with regulatory certifications and all these guidelines and rules, standard policies, and all these wonderful, wonderful. If you like reading, or if you were someone who is switching from law to cybersecurity, trust me, you do very well with information security. It's a lot of information and that you have to access. All right. Another field that you can look into if you are trying to switch into tech is cloud computing. And actually, when I started looking into tech, I wanted to do that one so badly, but I don't think I had enough information or confidence to go in there. And there were so many things being thrown at me. It's like AWS or Google, and I'm like, no. Okay. So anyway, but so cloud computing, and you guessed it, everything is stored in the cloud. You don't have physical hardware that the cloud, the things are stored in. You may have a server, but this one is you won't have, okay, this server has all this data, physical server in a data center where anyway, that's not why we're here. If you want to get into cloud computing, you can look into cloud computing because it is a field in tech. And with that one, I think you need networking skills. And this is really for most full stack developers, right? They save most of their data, and not just full stack developers. You can have your database management in the cloud. Most companies today are doing cloud computing. They're migrating from on-prem. And when you see on-prem, it means it's not cloud. Everything is physical. They have a physical a physical storage unit in a data center, right? And if it says cloud, then they probably save everything in cloud. I'm not sure. I haven't worked in any company that is 100% on-prem or 100% cloud. Usually it's hybrid. Some of their applications are stored in the cloud. Some of their applications are hosted on-prem. So it's good to know both. But on-prem is pretty straightforward, right? Everything is sitting right there. You go in to make replications. If you want, you go in to move folders and data around. But cloud is a bit different. And you can manage your cloud applications, one in AD, things like AWS provides cloud services. Google provides cloud services. It doesn't mean these three are the only places you can work. These three are one of the top places. Microsoft, which is AD, Google, AWS, they are the top three. But every company uses cloud computing workers or engineers to manage their system. You have to know also networking if you're doing cloud computing. And that's why switching into tech is a great idea, right? I'm not saying everybody should move there, but because we do need nurses, we need everybody. But if you come into into tech, you will not regret, because remember, when you're doing AI, the skills you need can help you in cloud computing. It can help you in cybersecurity. So when you learn something, chances are you just have to top it up with a few more things, and then you can switch very easily, right? And to get into cloud security, cloud computing, you probably have to know, not probably, Java developer, cloud engineering, cloud architecture. And I think this is where you're just how everything connects with everything, right? How the network is laid out. So you have to know this thing. Yes, it's a whole field on itself. There are architectures in most companies. Another field that you can look into is software engineering or developing. It's two different ones, but kind of need the same resources. So this is when, for all those gaming enthusiasts, you can use your gaming. You can create your own games. You can help with multimedia, developing websites for others, developing multimedia games, multimedia. Well, you can even help as a side gig, creating people's YouTube pages, small businesses, and websites for small businesses, in-house applications for small businesses. But when you work for a company, most of their ingrown applications, you will be the one managing it. Let's say they have any finance application that they created, they want to customize themselves. You will be the one to do it. You will be the one to create and develop all these softwares that are customized only to the company. You can create your own software and sell them, or you can consult with different companies. If you make yourself a company, you can consult with different other companies about their software life cycle. So that's the SDLC. So software development life cycle. You can walk a company through these cycle, or set it up for them and leave them if you're a consultant, or you will be hired as the developer for that company. And this is where any questions concerning any app assigned to you, you will be the one to handle, like troubleshooting, completely creating a new app, completely customizing fields in the software that is assigned to you. You will be the one to know the software and to make any changes in there. So software development is very much fun. So if you're looking into it, I think it's a very interesting field to look into. And with all these computing going on, with everything being computerized, software development is here to stay. So it's worth looking into it. One other area which I almost went into, and yeah, I say I almost went into everything, but and if you're now trying to get into tech, that this is a problem, because everything looks great until you start delving into it and you're like, this is not for me. And you should be true to yourself. But one thing is project management. And initially, when I was doing my research and watching all these videos, it seemed like, oh, this is easy. You just go into some system and manage what they are doing, tell them what to do. You write down what they say they will do, and you just follow up to see what they say they will do. This is easy. I can do that. Not true. It's a lot more than managing other people, a project. Okay, it's project management. You're managing time. You're making sure that we are in the time frame. You're making sure that we are abiding by everything we say we will do. We are abiding by policies and procedures. We are doing the right thing. We are following SDLC. The engineers are following the right SDLCs. So now it's not merely managing a project calendar. Nope. You're going to follow up on things that needs to be done. And by that, you should know what the project entails. And it involves a lot of training, a lot of reading, because you should know. If we say we are going to build a new hospital and they take you as a project manager, you should bring all the architectures together. You should bring all the, I guess it depends on, I'm sure it's not just one person. Every company has a PMO team, a project management officers, so they will probably assign part of the project to you, and you should know anything that needs to go into the project. And do you know what that means? You will call John, and John will say, we need ABC, but really we need A.1, A.2, A.331, and there's so many things that goes into it, that so many things are thrown at you every day that you have to follow up with. You need to keep abreast, and you need to learn everything that encompasses every project. If it's a simple project as, we need to maybe, if it's I don't know what a simple project will be, without a lot of departments coming in, then maybe it will be easier. But most projects involve you, the project manager, to bring everybody together. You have to pay attention in every meeting and make sure you understand what the ask is, because you will be following, and not just following up on them. You need to know if it's actually done, because they will tell you, oh yeah, I painted the whole wall blue. And yes, it's blue, but we said paint it red first and cover it with blue so that the color can, I'm making things up, so that the color can be dimmer or whatever, so that when we go in, we can separate the blue from the red. But you come in and you're like, oh, I painted everything blue. And if you're a project manager and you don't know that it was supposed to be red first, then blue, you check done. And 2 weeks down the road, when you're almost done with the project, you see that, oh no, something is wrong. They're going to come to you, the project manager. It's such a huge responsibility. After my research, I feel like, But if you're interested in pulling the various teams together to make one big project come to life, and people get a lot of satisfaction from this, because all the project managers I know, they're great. They love what they do. They love the colors. There's some colors that they follow. They love it. So if you have to love it to be able to thrive in it. And project managers are here to stay. There's a demand for it. Why? Because again, everything is computerized now, and we are making a lot of headway moving fully computing. Very few companies save actual hard copies of documentation and things like that. So you will always be needed. There's always a new software, that new building, a new project that's coming up that needs management. Okay. So if you're into these things, bringing different parts of the project together to make a full, then you may actually love project management. And I think you have to go through getting the Sigma, and that's what it is. But just research your project management. This video really is to bring light to some of the areas. There are so many areas, and I think so far I've said 5. There are so many more, and this video is already 30 minutes. Maybe I talked too much, but so far I've said these 5 that you can look into it. But there is so much more. There's UI, where if you like, and there's graphic design. If you like all these, what you see in the interface, you'll be the one who will be designing what the end user sees. You will be the one. If you're into all that, you can get into graphic designs, which is still UX, UI. So these are the 5 areas you can look into if you are trying to get into tech. All right. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.